Hi guys, welcome, good morning. So my name's Juliana Heritage, I'm from Pacific Grove High School.
My name's Sterling Halberstadt, and I'm from Pacific Grove High School.
So we're gonna be your guys' MCs for this conference. We welcome everyone for coming to this year's Critical Issues Forum Conference, the Nuclear Risk Reduction, Crisis Prevention in a Time of International Turbulence. So at this time, we would like to welcome all the participating schools and the observers. So when we call out your name, if you could please raise your hands or cheer, something like that to show us where you are. Okay, so first off, we have Alliance Dr. Olga Mohan High School from Los Angeles, California. Nice, okay. Next, we have Choate Rosemary Hall from Wallingford, Connecticut. Okay. The Harker School from San Jose, California. Nice. International Polytechnic High School from iPoly from Pomona, California. Okay, we have Pacific Grove from Pacific Grove, California. Woo!
We have Punahou School from Honolulu, Hawaii. Rock University High School from Janesville, Wisconsin. Salinas Union High School District, including Alisal High School, Everett Alvarez High School, North Salinas High School, and Salinas High School, all in Salinas, California. Then we have York School from Monterey, California. And then from Japan, we have Hiroshima Jogakuin Senior High School from Hiroshima. We have Kansai Soka Senior High School from Osaka. We have Kwasui High School from Nagasaki. And Soka Senior High School from Tokyo. And then we have Kaisei High School from Tokyo, who is participating online.
Okay, and then our high schools from Russia. We have Lyceum Lesnoy. We have school number 41, Novorosk. And then we have school number 164, Zelenogorsk. Okay, nice guys. And then we would also like to welcome our observers from Trinity Christian High School in Monterey, California, in the back row. Thank you guys for coming. It means a lot to us.
And we would like to go to an opening statement by Masako Toki, the project manager for the Critical Issues Forum and James Martin Center for the Nonproliferation Studies.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. So it is my great pleasure to welcome all of you to the 2019 Critical Issues Forum Spring Conference. My name is Masako Toki. I'm the project manager of the Critical Issues Forum at the James Martin Center for Nonproliferation Studies. First of all, let me express my sincere appreciation to everyone who has supported the Critical Issues Forum throughout the year, as it has culminated to this student-teacher conference. I would like to extend special appreciation to Japanese Consul General in San Francisco, Mr. Tomochika Uyama, and Consul Ryosuke Kamono for joining us at this conference and encouraging these future leaders from Japan, Russia, and around the United States. I would like to acknowledge that this year's project was made possible by generous funding from the Tom and Sarah Pattison Fund and the Saga Foundation. I am really grateful to everyone who has supported the Critical Issues Forum in a variety of capacities. My special thanks go to dedicated and enthusiastic CIF high school teachers who are enriching students' learning experience through the project. This year marks the 22nd year of the Critical Issues Forum project. Since its inception, this youth education project has reached out to thousands of high school students in the United States, Russia, and Japan. Disarmament and non-proliferation education projects like the Critical Issues Forum, are immensely important as it has a significant long-term impact on young people who will shoulder peace and security in the future. This year, I am also very happy to welcome several local high schools in Monterey County as first-time participants in the CIF. We are holding this conference for the future leaders at a very crucial time of nuclear disarmament and non-proliferation development. This year's topic is nuclear risk reduction, crisis prevention in a time of international turbulence. This topic eloquently presents the current dire situation related to nuclear disarmament and non-proliferation around the world. There are so many problems we have to surmount in order to promote nuclear disarmament and non-proliferation. And that is exactly why it is so important for young generations like you to study and learn more about nuclear issues so that you can contribute to finding possible solutions. I am also hopeful that this will be an opportunity for all of us to think about what we can do to reduce threats posed by nuclear weapons and make progress for the peace and security of a world free of nuclear weapons, and especially how we can use education to reach that goal. I trust that the students who participate in this conference will continue to forge ahead toward a safer and more secure world. Countries like the United States, Russia, and Japan are all playing very important roles in nuclear policy. Education in this field for young leaders in these countries will definitely have a positive impact on global peace and security. We are also very happy to have two distinguished keynote speakers. Dr. Jeffrey Lewis, our center's East Asia Non-Proliferation Program Director, is one of the most prolific and creative experts in this field and the leading scholars of North Korea's nuclear issues. Dr. Lewis will give his talk this afternoon. Dr. Mona Dresser from Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, who has extensive experience in nuclear non-proliferation, nuclear security, and verification, will join us tomorrow. These two keynote speakers' distinct backgrounds will provide you with a comprehensive view of nuclear weapons and non-proliferation. For the next 2 days, I hope you will learn from each other, have lively discussions, and actively exchange your perspectives. Thank you so much again for helping to make this very important conference possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Masako. That was great. Okay, so now we have some welcome remarks by Dr. William C. Potter, the founding director of the James Martin Center for Nonproliferation Studies, or CNS.
First of all, let me extend my welcome to all of you who've come from afar, as well as those of you who are neighbors here in Monterey and Pacific Grove. It really is extraordinary to see this, this diverse group of bright young people here in Monterey. And it reminds me vividly of the moments that set in motion activities that made it possible for us to convene you here today. And those moments go back to the period of 1998, when I had the opportunity to speak about the problems and prospects of nonproliferation at a local high school in Monterey. And I thought I did a pretty good job of raising all of the problems, not quite as good a job about the recommendations for how to address the issues. And then I took I was ready to take questions from the audience, and it was striking. There were very few young people actually in the audience. This was an event, a public event that happened to be held at the high school. But there were 3 young women who I vividly recall who all got up and asked essentially the same question, and they thanked me for my presentation. They were kind of stunned to learn about the proliferation challenges that I mentioned. And they all asked the question, how could it be, given what you've just told us, that we've never been exposed to any of these issues as graduating seniors from high school? And I usually have a ready question to pull out, or rather answer to whatever question on the tip of my tongue, but I didn't have a good answer for these questions. And so I recall going back to the CNS seminar room, which at the time was located in a different basement facility here, gathered my staff and said, you know, how can this be? Maybe this is something that CNS should undertake. And my staff of experts were unanimous in the view that we shouldn't touch this issue. You know, that these issues were too complex for high school students, which is why they probably hadn't been exposed to the matter. But in one of the rare instances in which I readily overruled the rest of my staff, I said that's not really a tolerable response. We need to find out more about the reasons for the lack of education in this domain. And I was fortunate at the time to be sitting on the United Nations Secretary General's Advisory Board on Disarmament matters, and actually had done a paper for the Secretary General on disarmament and nonproliferation education. And one of my colleagues in an experts group that had been created was none other than a mid-career Japanese official by the name of Yukiya Amano. Some of you may recognize him now as the Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency. In any case, I kind of brought that issue to the board, thought about it further, and we decided to launch a program, initially in conjunction actually with Los Alamos National Laboratory, believe it or not, and thus was born the Critical Issues Forum. And it has grown over time, but the emphasis has remained the same, and rather surprisingly, perhaps, given the state of U.S.-Russian relations today, the participants, particularly the U.S. and Russian participants, have remained quite constant, and we've always been delighted to have the high schools in the nuclear cities of Russia participate. And on occasion, we had all 10 of those closed cities participate in our forum, which I think is particularly important in terms of the state of U.S.-Russian relations. So that was the kind of the backdrop for this particular activity. We're now in our 22nd year, and it really is a delight to see you all here. I would be remiss if I didn't thank some of the key people who made this possible, and first and foremost really is Masako Toki, who lives and breathes nuclear disarmament and education, and it is through her labors that many of you are here today. This is something she does day in and day out, and I really highly respect her work. Consul General Uyama, it's great to welcome you to Monterey. We work very closely with Japan, both here in Washington and also in Vienna, and I also would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge a newly minted PhD who was an alumnus of the Monterey Institute. Some of you in Monterey know him better as the surfer, but he also had a distinguished career in Geneva with the Japanese mission, and now was with the Japanese mission in Washington. Dr. Nishida, we look forward to your remarks later in the program. I see the mayor of Monterey. I'm not sure whether he's here in a student capacity, in a government capacity. It's never too late to learn, the subjects, and we're delighted that he's joined us here as well. I often, unfortunately, begin my remarks dealing with nuclear challenges by observing that we are in a world today in great disarray. I just have come back from 2 weeks of travel in New York, in Geneva, in Vienna, where we have been focusing on the next Nonproliferation Treaty Review Conference, and had occasion to meet with senior American, Russian, and Japanese officials, among others. And I can tell you the future is dire in the nuclear sphere. U.S.-Russian relations continue to plummet, and I'm not sure if we will be able to extricate ourselves readily from this escalating crisis. However, if there is a hope, the only hope that I foresee, it's not a short-term hope, it's a longer-term hope, which relies on young people like yourselves, most of you. I think you have the dedication, the energy. You are not yet cynical, and I think it's through meetings of this sort that you develop both the expertise, the critical thinking skills, and the connections, the contexts, which give me some hope that maybe we will find a way forward. I'm going to tell you two more brief stories, and then I will give the podium to someone else here. We had occasion a number of years ago to have former Secretary of Defense Bill Perry with us, and he was scheduled to come for a very short time to make some remarks. I think it was on a Saturday morning, and then to depart. But he was so overwhelmed by the articulate manner in which the young people that he saw assembled from 3 continents speak to questions of nuclear terrorism that he simply didn't want to leave. He stayed for something like 4 or 5 hours. And we were talking over lunch, and we both agreed that had we not had the opportunity to see in person who was speaking, that based upon the messages that were delivered, the presentations that were made, we could not really readily distinguish high school students from advanced graduate students or young professionals. It was so profound, and it was said very, very sincerely, and I share Dr. Perry's view. The last kind of snippet of a story I will tell goes back, if my memory serves me, to 2007, when we had, I think, a meeting in Vienna. I think this was the correct date. I count in terms of preparatory committee meetings, so this would have been the first PrepCom in Vienna. And our distinguished guest was Yukiya Amano. And Ambassador Amano, was he a Director General already? So maybe, what's the right date then? Did I have? Okay, it was the second round. Okay, thank you, Masako. She wouldn't have shouted out the mistake, but since I asked for it, it was 2012. It seemed longer ago. And Director General Amano met with our assembled students, and it was a very personal presentation that he made. And he explained how he had gotten into the field. I mean, it's possible that even the Consul General hasn't heard this story, previously. And it was to a large extent based upon the fact of a visit to his high school by a representative from the foreign ministry who talked about his career. And at that moment, then young Mr. Amano decided that he wanted to follow in that diplomat's footsteps, and now is the highest ranking individual in Japanese history working for an international organization as Director General. So I say that to encourage you to take very seriously the 2 days that you have in Monterey. I can't promise that all of you will have careers that are similar to Yukiya Amano's, but it's not out of the question whether you are Japanese, American, or Russian. And so I think there are tremendous opportunities for you. And I'm very appreciative to Sarah and Tom Pattison, to the Saga Foundation, and to all of my colleagues at CNS for making possible this event. So again, welcome, and I look forward to observing your participation over the course of the next 2 days.
And now we have some remarks from Dr. Jeff Dayton-Johnson, the Vice President of Academic Affairs and the Dean of Middlebury Institute of International Studies.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome. As the Dean of this institution, it falls upon me to welcome all of you on behalf of all of our faculty, all of our staff, and most importantly, our students. And I want to say a couple things about this institution, about the Middlebury Institute of International Affairs, of International Studies. I should know the name of the institution for which I work, but sometimes I forget. This is, I'll say two things about the Institute that I think are particularly relevant to the work that you will be doing over the next couple of days. First of all, this is an institution that thrives on the basis of partnerships, partnerships of all kinds. We are a relatively small school, but our impact is much larger than you might suspect given our size, given the number of students, given the number of graduates that we have. And that large impact, that global impact, is because of these partnerships, because of cooperating with other institutions, with other countries, with other schools. And I think among the many partnerships that make this institution as effective as it is, the partnerships underlying the Critical Issues Forum are among those that I'm most proud of. And I'm proud of them because there's so many different types of organizations represented here today who are joined together in their commitment to one of the world's most challenging problems, and that is the problem of how to secure international peace, how to secure nuclear disarmament, and how to stop nuclear proliferation. And I'm particularly grateful to our distinguished guests from the Japanese Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the very important part of the partnership that makes this event possible for more than 20 years now, to the institutions that have helped support this event financially, Sarah and Tom Pattison, the Saga Foundation, among others. I'm very grateful to my colleagues from the Center for Nonproliferation Studies who work very hard not only to make this forum possible every year, but in particular, but more generally, to increase our understanding and our awareness of both the threats that we face and the solutions, the possible solutions that can contain those threats. This is important work year after year. Right now, we're living through a period in which the world's attention is really focused on nuclear proliferation because of some of the threats that Dr. Potter just mentioned, because of the increasing visibility of nuclear diplomacy, for lack of a better word, between the United States and the DPRK, between the United States and North Korea. But some years, nuclear issues are not at the top of the news headlines, and nevertheless, our colleagues have doggedly pursued solutions to these issues, whether they're diplomatic, whether they're technical, whether they're political, and this ongoing work has contributed to leaders around the world who are making a difference. Among the partners that are here that I'm most proud of are high school teachers. And I would actually like us to recognize the work that high school teachers around the world do. Could we please thank the high school teachers who are here for the work that they do? High school teachers are so important, and those of you who are high school students may not always feel that way. But later in your life, I think you will, no matter what career trajectory you follow, you will often have occasion to reflect back on your high school years as being determinant in the path that you chose. I do this myself. Years ago, I thought I made an effort to write to a high school teacher who I thought was particularly influential and who had encouraged me to pursue an international career. And she wrote back and said, "I don't remember you." It was a long time ago, and I don't blame her. There had been many hundreds of students, but nevertheless, it's important for us to recognize the gratitude that we have to our teachers over time, and I'm so glad to see so many of them here. Among the high schools who are here today, there is a kind of presidential theme that I want to point out. We have students here from Choate Rosemary Hall, which is the high school that Middlebury College's president, Lori Patton, my boss, attended when she was a high school student. We have students from the Hawaii High School where our former president of the United States was a student. And most importantly, the former president of the Middlebury Institute Student Council is here, Cameron Chien, with his students from Salinas. The point I want to make to you is something that Dr. Potter emphasized, which is that these are schools which form leaders, which train leaders. The leaders of today came from the schools that you represent, and every one of you can be a leader in pursuing a safer and more just world, and I encourage you to seek out that leadership. So partnerships are important to us. Thank you to all of the partners who are here today. The second thing about this school, the final thing I want to say about this institute, this is an institute whose faculty, whose students cross borders. We cross borders, we cross boundaries. We literally cross borders to pursue a deeper understanding of things that are happening in other countries. But we also metaphorically cross borders. We learn second and third languages to be able to work more effectively globally. We cross borders of disciplines. Some of us are language experts who learn more about international security in order to bring an interdisciplinary understanding to the problems of the world. We cross borders of hierarchy and status. We learn how to work with people at the grassroots level and people at the highest echelons of political power. All of this border crossing is what makes our students effective when they graduate. And all of you students in particular here today, have similarly crossed borders. Some of you have literally come here from other countries, and I could not be more pleased that that's the case. Many of you are listening to me in a language which is not your first language, and I appreciate your patience with my American accent. I appreciate your commitment to learning a second language. Many of you are making, and most importantly, you're crossing a border between being high school students learning about subjects to being professionals and practitioners who contribute to the solutions of the world. The work that you are going to present over the next couple of days has the potential to change the problems that beset us as global citizens. And if you pursue that analysis, if you pursue that evaluation, if you pursue these intellectual labors, you have a good chance of making a contribution to the world, not only as a student seeking greater understanding, but as a contributor to the solution of the world's problems. And so I encourage you to follow this path. I hope that some of you, at least, will seek a career of international leadership, whether it's in your own community or on a global stage, to addressing the world's most pressing problems. And if it helps you, I would be delighted to welcome some of you back here as graduate students, because I think we can work together to tackle these global problems. So thank you so much, all of you, for being here in your different roles, and I wish you a lively and productive session at this year's Critical Issues Forum. Thank you very much.
Okay, guys, we are very lucky to have Mr. Tomochika Uyama, the Consul General of Japan in San Francisco, delivering remarks, and then a message from the Japanese Foreign Minister, Mr. Taro, read by Mr. Uyama.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tomochika Uyama, Consul General of Japan in San Francisco. I came here February last year, so it's about 1 year since I came. But it is a pleasure for me on the consulate to be included in today's program. I'd like to thank many people, including Dr. Jeff Dayton-Johnson, the Dean of the Middlebury Institute of International Studies, Dr. William Potter, the founding director of this James Martin Center, and also CIF project manager, Ms. Masako Toki, in particular, and also other staff for their excellent coordination and hospitality. I am honored to be on the campus of such prestigious school as the Middlebury Institute of International Studies, where you all will be discussing the pressing issue of nuclear risk reduction. I do not want to take up too much of my time because I have a message from Japanese Foreign Minister Taro Kono. But I do want to extend my own welcome to all of the high school students and teachers participating today from Russia, Japan, and across the United States. This is a rare opportunity to have all three countries' students in one place. So thank you for committing yourself, your time and energy to this unique forum. It gives my generation a great hope to see youth from all over the world coming together for a dialogue about this important issue. And now I'd like to read the message from Foreign Minister Kono. The message. I'd like to extend my sincere congratulations on holding the Critical Issue Forum this year. I'd also like to express my respect for everyone involved in preparing for this year's conference and young participants like you. I believe that not only efforts on a governmental level, but also the power of civil society, especially the younger generations, are essential to advance nuclear disarmament and non-proliferation. United States Secretary General Guterres emphasized the importance of the empowerment of youth in his Agenda for Disarmament last year. I feel really encouraged by the unique efforts through this forum where the younger generation can learn issues on nuclear weapons from various perspectives and actively discuss those issues so that they will lead an effort towards global disarmament and total elimination of nuclear weapons in the future. Recognizing the importance of efforts by young generation, we, the Japanese government, have put emphasis on disarmament and non-proliferation education for years. With the aging of victims of atomic bombings, in order to continue conveying the realities of atomic bombings in Hiroshima and Nagasaki across national and age boundaries, we have backed up the efforts made by younger generations, for example, via a scheme known as the Youth Communicators for a World Free of Nuclear Weapons. I'm really pleased to entrust this important task to 38 youths from Japan, the United States, and Russia who are attending this forum today. I'm sure that each effort made by you will lead to the future progress in nuclear disarmament and non-proliferation. It is the responsibility of Japan, as the only country that has ever suffered atomic bombings during the war, to lead proactively the international efforts toward the realization of a world free of nuclear weapons. Based on this determination, even under the current severe security circumstances, Japan aims at contributing to building common ground for the international community to work together to address these issues and making steady efforts step by step. Building common grounds among states cannot be achieved in a short period of time. It requires leaders and citizens who deeply comprehend the positions of each country on nuclear disarmament, as well as the severe security environment. I hope that as many participants as possible enhance their skills of critical thinking so as to grow into the bearers of a world without nuclear weapons. Last but not least, I hope this forum will be successful and discussions among participants will be fruitful for realizing a world free of nuclear weapons. 29th March 2019, Minister for Foreign Affairs of Japan, Taro. Congratulations, and I hope this will be a very successful event. Thank you.